What is up, YouTube? Tomo14 here. I am the coach of the Maine Clawitzers, and today I am bringing you Week 12 of the NES. This week we go up against CrazyRazey, coach of the Swindon Fletchlings. They are currently the best team in the league right now with a record of 9-2. We are 7-4. And if we want to make a statement for ourselves heading into these last few weeks of the season, we need to start beating the best teams in the league, so we have to make a statement right here and now. Especially considering our momentum from last week, picking up a nice 2-0 victory over the Town Tyrantrums. So this week was not easy to prepare for because my opponent's team has a multitude of Pokemon that can operate both offensively and defensively, and I had to not only account for his bulky Pokemon, I had to account for his wall breakers too, which he has a solid combination of. So just to give a rundown of my opponent's team, he has that Clefable, arguably the best Fairy-type Pokemon in Draft League format. Can do a multitude of sets from Calm Mind, instead of Stealth Frogs. They're on Unaware, Calm Mind, set up Stealth Frogs, can Thunder Wave, Heal Bell support, Wish support. The list goes on and on. It's just an amazing Pokemon in general. He has the Mandibuzz, nice bulky defogger, can be a bit passive at times, which I can't take advantage of if he does bring it. And that's really about it, but Mandibuzz can still be an issue. It's a good physical wall to most of my physical threats, like my Scolipede, my Cobalion, stuff like that. Arcanine, a good combination of both, can be a offensive threat with like a Choice Band with Flare Blitz, Wild Charge, Priority with Extreme Speed, or it can be a more defensive spread, which he has brought in the past with Rocky Helmet, with Will-O-Wisp, Morning Sun, all sorts of solid moves to back up its solid bulk, great abilities in Intimidate and Flash Fire. So if I see that Arcanine, I'm going to assume it is physically defensive with Intimidate, just to weaken my physical attackers to keep them in check. He has that Slowking, bulky water psychic type, a Pokemon I know very well from one of my other leagues. Can do a multitude of sets, can be an offensive tank with Assault Vest, can be physically defensive, specially defensive, offensive Trick Room, which I have used myself. Great ability in Regenerator, keeping itself healthy, and it's going to be quite a nuisance to wear down if he has his way with my team. He has that Ambipom, fast. It's better in league format simply because fast Technician Fake Out can be a nuisance with knockoff, access to U-turn. Doesn't have to be physical, can run like a surprise special set with Nasty Plot Technician. So I have to keep that in mind if I do see the Ambipom. Miss Magius, a good solid ghost type Pokemon with Levitate, so can't really spam Earthquake as much as I want to, but nevertheless, it can be a nuisance. Can access to Will-O-Wisp, and Thunder Wave, Taunt, Hex, Shadow Ball, good coverage options with Dazzling Gleam, and can run Destiny Bond as a last ditch ever take one of my mons down with it. So I don't really see it coming, but it is a possibility, which I'm keeping in the back of my mind. He has Mega Ampharos, bulky electric type Pokemon with the Mold Breaker, so it can freely Volt Switch against my Volt Absorb Lantern. And most commonly known for running like a Rest Talk set with Volt Switch and Dragon Pulse. Can surprisingly pull off an agility set with Thunderbolt, Dragon Pulse, and coverage moves like either Hidden Power or Focus Blast. I don't really see Ampharos coming because I have a multitude of ways of dealing with Mega Ampharos. My Druddigon's faster if he's uninvested. Kieran Black is there, Mega Gardevoir, Ice Beam Manaphy, things like that. So Tangrowth, the other half of his Regenerator core, again like Slowking, can run bulky Assault Vest, can run physically defensive, can run a tank set, gets access to moves like Knockoff, can the Elite Seed set, access to Sleep Powder. Just a good solid mon overall, and you can't really go wrong whether offensively or defensively. He has that Terrakion. It's a good solid hard-hitting Pokemon. It's nice base 108 speed, has that rock fighting coverage. It is actually kind of a nuisance to my team, since considering that for the most part I really lack reliable switch-ins to both rock and fighting, so I'm gonna have to play around it. And it's also one of its only stealth rockers along with Clefable. So if Clefable doesn't have stealth rocks, then Terrakion will. And if he's stealth rock Terrakion, it means he's not choice scarf. So that would be a good thing to note for my Scolipede. He has Durant, solid Pokemon with Hustle. It's literally hit or miss with its ability, increasing its attack but lowering its accuracy. But it can still run Choice Scarf very effectively. It can run Hone Claws to make up for its loss in accuracy. Stab Iron Head, Stab Bug Bite, Superpower for coverage. Elemental Fangs for coverage to go along top of that. So it could be a nuisance if he brings it. And last, he has that Golbat, sort of along the same lines as the Mandibuzz, as a bulky defogger, but like Mandibuzz, it's also passive, but it can be more problematic as it has moves like Super Fang plus Toxic to wear down my wall breakers. Can run Taunt effectively. Of course, Recovery with Roost, always nice to have for a Pokemon that's supposed to come in and take hits against my team. As for what I'm predicting my opponent to bring this battle, I am predicting the Clefable for sure. The Slowking Tangrowth combination, definitely. I see the Terrakion coming. I potentially see the Arcanine coming as a backup physical check. And lastly, I see either the Mandibuzz or the Golbat to come, just to keep hazards off his field. And Terrakion can come in and set him up whenever he wants to. So with that being said, I'm now going to move into the 6 Pokemon I'm bringing for this week's battle. And the first Pokemon you will see on the screen, you see Centikill, my Scolipede, rocking a pretty standard set of Protect, Mega Horn, Poison Jab, and Earthquake with the Life Orb and Speed Boost. Protect to ensure that I am faster than any Choice Scarf variants of Terrakion. As it's the fastest Pokemon, my Scolipede can outspeed. It can outspeed Ambipom unless he brings like an Adamant max speed Ambipom, which I don't see coming. Mega Horn is here for the Slowking and the Tangrowth. Poison Jab for the Clefable. And Earthquake is here for the Arcanine, the Mega Ampharos, and the Terrakion. It was really a toss-up between Earthquake and Rock Slide. It was basically a choice of, would I rather be walled by, do less damage to Terrakion, to the Arcanine, to Mega Ampharos, or would I be completely walled by Mandibuzz and Golbat? I decided to choose the latter simply because I had other Pokemon I can cover for Mandibuzz and Golbat, so it wasn't that big of a deal. EV Spread, max attack, hit as hard as possible with the Life Orb. 236 speed with the Jolly Nature lets me outspeed Terrakion, which is the fastest Pokemon Scolipede can outspeed naturally. And after a speed boost, I outspeed a Choice Scarf Terrakion. With the rest of the EVs just split up between HP, its defenses, just to give it some slight bulk. So nothing fancy here. It's basically going to be a late game sweeper, hopefully. But that will change depending on what happens with the battle and what Pokemon he does bring. He could change it up tremendously depending on what he feels as though is a threat to him, and vice versa. So second on my team now, we have the debut of Breaker the Kyurem Black. Now I am running a very, very offensive mix set this week simply because Kyurem Black, like the name implies, it's here to break walls. It single-handedly can break his Regenerator core of Slowking, Tangrowth. Iron Head is for the Clefable and the Terrakion. And with this set, I can freely get a substitute on any of those Pokemon, as Tangrowth fears the Ice Beam, Slowking fears the Fusion Bolt, and Clefable fears the Iron Head. So if I can get a switch, if I can force a switch, I get up a nice substitute, and then I can attack freely from behind it. So, like I said, substitute, predict a switch, go for a sub, get leftovers recovery. I don't need life orb simply because it already hits hard enough with my spread. Iron Head, like I said, 2-hit KOs. With the attack investment and the lonely nature, it guarantees a 2-hit KO on Clefable. And Fusion Bolt 2-hit KOs, physically defensive Slowking. And the investment in special attack ensures that my Ice Beam will 2-hit KO a max HP, max special defense Assault Vest Tangrowth. Also hits the Golbat and Mandibuzz. The 12 EVs in speed is to outspeed 4 speed Arcanine, and the rest is just mixed up between HP and special defense, 20 EVs in HP to give my Kyurem Black odd number of HP so it can switch into Stealth Rock 4 times as opposed to just 3. So, like I said, it's going to come in and just wreak havoc on his bulkier Pokemon. I was really debating whether or not to bring Earth Power over Iron Head just so I can hit the Arcanine harder, but I figured that Clefable would be a bigger issue to me than the Arcanine, and I do have ways to deal with Arcanine if he does bring it, so it wasn't that big of an issue. So that is my breaker. Literally my Kyurem Black set I'm bringing, a very offensive mix set, but I feel as though it can put in the work in its debut for the Maine Red Clawitzers. Moving on to the third Pokemon you see on the screen, you see we have Lily, the Mega Gardevoir, running a Taunt Toxic set this week to go along with Psyshock and Hyper Voice. Its Fairy Resists are Arcanine and Durant, if I recall correctly, does not want to take 2 Hyper Voices from a Mega Gardevoir. Taunt is here to stop the potential healing of Clefable. It stops Clefable from healing up with Soft Boiled, pulling any T-Wave shenanigans, stops the Tangrowth from using Sleep Powder, stops Slowking from using Slack Off. Toxic is here to wear down said Pokemon. If he's unaware of Clefable, that would be even better. It would force him to run like Heal Bell or something like that. The investment is very standard, very straightforward, max HP, max special attack. I don't need the speed investment simply because if he's uninvested Arcanine, my Gardevoir outspeeds, and all of his other Pokemon that I'm slower than, I can't outspeed Ambipom, can't outspeed Durant, can't outspeed the Terrakion or the Mismagius. So the other Pokemon on this team are most likely going to be defensive, so running any speed on my Gardevoir would have been pointless. So I figured to go and put it into the bulk, put some effort, get some effort out of it. I'm still faster enough to taunt lower bulky walls. It's not that big of an issue that I'm foregoing speed, which I don't need. And it allows me to take some hits a lot better with max HP as opposed to max speed. So it's going to be my backup bulky wall breaker, so to speak. As Psyshock with Hyper Voice hits a ton of his Pokemon very, very hard. And I couldn't pass up the added power I get from using a modest nature this week. So now we move on to the fourth Pokemon. We have Splish Splash, the Manaphy, with a Tail Glow 3 attack set. But this week, instead of going for Energy Ball, I went for Knockoff. And the reason why I went for Knockoff over something like Energy Ball for the Slowking is basically because I want to be able to... I want to get rid of the Assault Vest from the Slowking, potential Assault Vest Tangrowth, because without a boost, Manaphy, even unboosted Ice Beam does a lot to Tangrowth, even if it's especially defensive. I'm walled by the Slowking, yes, but the Knockoff gives me the utility to knock down items, whether it be Clefable's leftovers, Slowking's Assault Vest, Arcanine's leftovers, a Rocky Helmet, and then Skull plus Ice Beam does do a good amount of damage. Of course, I'm walled by Slowking, but I have Kyurem Black, I have Scolipede, which can come in, threaten it out with a Fusion Bolt or a Mega Horn respectively, so I'm not that particularly worried. Like Mega Gardevoir, not running any speed investment, just max HP, max special attack, just to take hits better. from the aforementioned Pokemon. So another bulky sweeper, so to speak. I was actually debating between this set and running like a defensive Manaphy with like Rain Dance, Rest, Toxic, and Scald. As the only thing I miss out on for Scald is like Tangrowth. And if I can poison the Tangrowth, the Slowking, the Clefable, and he doesn't have Heal Bell, then I'm going to be in very good shape. But I figured I wanted something extra to wear down his Pokemon. Make him less comfortable to come in and do as he pleases. So, which is the reason why I brought this Manaphy set. Still hoping it puts in some work. Now on to Pokemon number 5. Back after a few weeks on the bench, we have Athos here, the Kabalion, running offensive Stealth Rock this week with Stealth Rock, Iron Head, Sacred Sword, and Toxic with the Chople Berry. Chople Berry lets me take one super effective hit, fighting attack, which is specifically here for the Terrakion or Superpower Durant. I can then retaliate with Sacred Sword, not doing close combat because if I win the speed tie with Terrakion and I go first, close combat will lower my defenses. He goes for a close combat. I ate the Chople Berry, but I might not live, especially if he gets like a critical hit. So instead of running close combat, I went for Sacred Sword. Sacred Sword does a good amount of damage either way, especially if he wins the speed tie and goes for close combat. Or if he goes for close combat, then ate the Chople Berry, he's at -1 defense. Sacred Sword still has potential to knock out the Terrakion after the defense drop. And Toxic is here for the Slowking, for the Tangrowth, Clefable, if he's unaware. And Stealth Rock just to get chip damage on his Pokemon. Running max attack, max speed with that Jolly Nature lets me speed tie with the Terrakion, like I said. So it's basically here just to scare off. It forces out the Clefable if he's not running Flamethrower. It scares out a bunch of his Pokemon that I can just get up rocks on and then just wear things down with a Toxic. I'll be in a lot better shape if he doesn't bring a Heal Bell user, since Toxic is my only real means of wearing down his team with this set. It is walled by the Tangrowth, but as long as he doesn't bring Tangrowth with Cleric support, I'll be in a lot better shape. Like, if he doesn't bring like Heal Bell, Mega Ampharos, I'll be. And also getting up rocks is pretty helpful, especially it pressures the Mandibuzz and the Golbat to go for Defog. It pressures the Arcanine to go for Morning Sun and stuff. So lastly, we have Crimson, the Druddigon, running an offensive tank set with the Lumberry, Sheer Force with Dragon Claw, Earthquake, Gunk Shot, and Fire Punch. Dragon Claw just here to stab. Earthquake is here to deal damage to the Mega Ampharos, to the Terrakion, the Arcanine. Gunk Shot, 2-hit KOs, physically defensive Clefable, and also 2-hit KOs the Tangrowth. Even if he's physically defensive, it's a 2-hit KO. And Fire Punch is here for the Durant. Running max attack with the Adamant Nature, hit as hard as possible. I'm actually running speed on this Druddigon to outspeed uninvested Clefable. As if the Clefable is weakened enough, I can outspeed it, go for a Gunk Shot, and potentially take out the Clefable, which is what I'm hoping for. I have multitude of ways of getting rid of the Clefable, but it all depends on who can wear it down the most for the other. So Druddigon can wear down the Clefable for Kyurem Black, or vice versa. It'll be great. I could have ran no speed, but Clefable was an issue. And Lumberry is here specifically just in case I get burned by Will-O-Wisp Arcanine, or I get hit by a Toxic or a Thunder Wave from Clefable, or Toxic from the from pretty much any Pokemon, probably like Mandibuzz or something. But more or less, that is my team that I am bringing against Crazy, and we are now going to switch over to the battle and we'll see how that goes. So we are back, week 12 of the NES. The Maine Red Clawitzers taking on the Swindon Fletchlings. My opponent brings a team of Tangrove, Golbat, Clefable, Terrakion, Miss Magius, and Slowking. So I get most of the predictions right. I didn't expect the Golbat, and I didn't expect the Miss Magius. I expected the Arcanine. I expected the Durant, in fact, to like team up to like wear down my Mons in combination with Terrakion. So he didn't bring Arcanine, so that was good for me. So I don't have to deal with any intimidation. I initially wanted to lead off with my Kyurem simply because it had a good matchup against everything except for a potential lead Terrakion, as his Terrakion could be Scarf and Clefable could be his Stealth Rock setter, or his Terrakion could be his Stealth Rock setter and Clefable like a Calm Mindset. I also kept in the back of my mind that Clefable could also be unaware and stop my Tail Glow Manaphy. So I decided to test that theory very early in the match, even though I didn't need to. So I decided to lead off with my Manaphy. I had a good matchup against everything except for the potential Assault Vest Tangrove and the Slowking. So now we're going to play this battle. He leads off with Golbat as I lead off with my Manaphy. So right away, turn 1, I'm kind of have the advantage somewhat. As I get up a free Tail Glow, I know you can go for Toxic or you can taunt me. I don't really care. So I'm just going to go for the knockoff first, just to see if he switches. So I knock off the Eviolite as he hits me with a Toxic. So my Manaphy's on a timer now. Now this turn I decide to go for a Tail Glow, thinking he would switch out. He decides to stay in. He goes for Super Fang, which cuts my HP in half. So now I'm really starting to get worn down by this thing. He decides to pull a switch into the Clefable here as I go for the Ice Beam. Does 70%, and that damage confirmed to me that he is indeed unaware Clefable. If it was Magic Guard, he would have lost at half his health. So this turn, after I get some leftovers recovery, take Toxic damage. He goes for the Protect to scout what I'm going to do. Wear me down with more Toxic damage. And I'm seeing no leftovers recovered on this Clefable, so I really don't know what he has on this thing. All we see is Protect so far. I go for the Skull, does 34%. I don't get the burn. He goes for the Wish as to the leftovers, and I drop to the Toxic. So now here I go to free switch into Breaker by Kyurem Black, and now here I'm thinking, okay, he has to fear the Iron Head, and I've already seen Wish Protect. Already confirmed he's unaware Clefable. So I'm thinking this would be, I would either do one of two things. Either I Iron Head on the obvious Protect, or I would get up a sub as he goes for Protect. I decided to do the latter, as even if he does go for Moonblast, like a very aggressive play, even though it's turn 6, I figured that going for the Iron Head would do me a lot better. I figured going for Substitute would do me a lot better. It protects me from status and all that stuff. So, with that being said, he does go for attack, and I get a nice good Substitute off as he gets his Wish. Now I get a free Iron Head off, no matter what. I go for the Iron Head, and he's a Berry, so he predicted I would have an Iron Head. As he goes for the Moonblast, which breaks my sub. So now here, after my leftovers recovery, Clefable is not in range of another. It can take another Iron Head, but at the same time, Moonblast doesn't take out my Kyurem Black. It does about 66%. So I decided that I'm going to scout to see what he decides to do this turn. So I decided to go for another Substitute here, as he actually switches out into the Slowking as I go for another I went for Iron Head this turn. Please, I'm skipping ahead now. So anyway, he now pulls a double switch into Tangrove, expecting me to Iron Head again. I'm going to go for Substitute. And now with Substitute in place, I can now, like I said in the team builder, I have enough special attack EVs on my Kyurem to 2-hit KO, max HP, max special defense, Assault Vest, Tangrove. So I have no reason not to go for Ice Beam. The Slow King play is obvious, but I decided not to do any predictions with this sub. So he makes the switch into the Slow King as I go for the Ice Beam this turn. Does a 12%, but I get the freeze. So that definitely sucks for my opponent, as I was just trying to go for damage. And now I'm thinking, will he try to sack this thing off? I can go for Fusion Bolt because he has no electric immunity. So I go for the Fusion Bolt this turn. I knock it out. So he wasn't even physically defensive Slow King. He was like an offensive tank set. So down goes his half of his Regenerator Core. He now goes down into his Terrakion. Breaks my sub with close combat. Lowers his defenses. I go for the Iron Head here. And he indeed Focus Sash. So that means he was a Stealth Rock lead. Now, I'm not going to stay in at all on this Terrakion. And I didn't really have a definite switch in. I could have sacked it off, but Kieran Black puts in too much work against this team. So what I decided to do, I decided to switch out into my Jardigan and take the Stone Edge, which he went for Stone Edge here, predicting me to go into Scolipede. So that was a good play on his part. So he decides to pull a switch out into the Golbat here. I'm just going to play Dragon Claw because I have nothing to lose. So now it becomes a Roost stall battle. He goes for Roost. I go for Dragon Claw again. Almost takes him out. And now this turn he goes for the Roost. And I'm predicting the Roost and I go for the Earthquake this turn. I get the prediction right. He lives on 1. Which sucks. I was hoping to get rid of this Golbat, but didn't happen. So now I know he's not going to Roost again because now he sees I have Earthquake. He's not going to do that again. So instead, this turn he decides to go for Toxic to poison me. I have Lumberry. Don't bring that mess out here. Goodbye, Golbat. So Jardigan comes in and puts in the finest of work in that kill against the Golbat. And now he sends out the Clefable. And if you saw the team, if you remember in the team builder, I have enough speed on Jardigan to outspeed uninvested Clefable. So I'm really hoping and praying he's not running some minimum, he's not speed creeping anything, which I don't think he would. And I'm going for Gunk Shot. I have no reason not to switch out here. Go for Gunk Shot. I hit the Gunk Shot and goodbye, Clefable. Oh, the speed investment put in work. So now he goes into his Mismatches here. He thinks I'm going to switch out. I'm going to go for a Dragon Claw on his substitute. Jardigan's already put in all the work. I need to keep this thing. I don't want to give him the free sub. This time he goes for Dazzling Gleam. Really wish I had Sucker Punch in this case, but I don't. Down goes my Jardigan, and now, after leftover recovery, I now go into my Gardevoir. Trace the Levitate. I know I could take a Shadow Ball because I'm max HP. So I'm going to click Hyper Voice this turn. He goes for Shadow Ball. Does over half. Get the special defense drop. But go for Hyper Voice. Goodbye, Miss Magius. So now it's 4 versus 2. All he has left is this Terrakion and Tangrowth. I decided to sack off my Gardevoir here as I didn't want anything to take unnecessary damage. So now go out into my Cobalion here. And the idea with Cobalion is I was hoping he would stay in and close combat me. So then I eat the Chople Berry. I retaliate with a Sacred Sword or an Iron Head. Didn't matter which one. Take out the Terrakion. Instead, he switches out into the Tangrowth. As I go for the Iron Head, doesn't do much, confirms he is physically defensive, and I see the leftover, so he's not Assault Vest. I make a stupid play here. Instead of letting my Cobalion getting up rocks, I decide to go for switch into Scolipede. I get put to sleep by Tangrowth. He gets a free switch back into the Terrakion, and then I went for Protect here, hoping that I would wake up, get the Protect off, and I stay asleep as he goes for the Stone Edge and takes out my Scolipede. The crit didn't matter because it did over 100% anyway. I go back out into Cobalion this turn. He goes back out into his Tangrowth, and I decide to go with Sword. Doesn't do anything. But nevertheless, I decide this turn I'm going to go for the Stealth Rocks here, which ensures that Terrakion cannot switch back in. So now it's basically just Cobalion and my Kyurem versus this one Tangrowth, and I know if I can put this thing to sleep, if I can get the Toxic off on the Tangrowth, I essentially win this game. At the same time, I don't want my Kyurem to take unnecessary damage, so I get the Toxic off as I finally wake up. He goes for double Elite Seed, predicting me to go into Kyurem. Wasn't going to happen, as I'm essentially want to get a free switch into my Kyurem Black. He goes for Sleep Powder again, and I don't really care at this point if my Cobalion goes down. It already did enough work in this battle. Got the Toxic off on the Tangrowth. It got Stealth Rocks up, which ensures Terrakion dies on re-entry. So I'm just letting this thing get whittled down by the Leech Seed damage. I'm just trying to get off as much damage as possible to this thing because I'm just sacking it off. I get the Ironhead flinch this turn. He gets the Leech Seed, leftovers, and the Toxic damage. Now he decides to switch out into Terrakion so that way he can reset the Toxic timer on his Tangrowth, which is fine. Like I said, I'm just sacking off this Cobalion, like I said. So I'm just going for damage here. He goes for Ironhead. And now I get the flinch again. So he gets the leftovers, he gets the Leech Seed recovery, takes Toxic damage. It's going to be here for one more turn. I go for Ironhead for damage. And as he goes for the knockoff, which takes out my Cobalion, knocks off my Chople Berry. So now it's just down to Kyurem versus Tangrowth. And then Kyurem just comes in, clicks Ice Beam. It's already in range no matter what. I click the Ice Beam, down goes the Tangrowth, and that is going to be good game. So after one of the craziest and most difficult preps I had to do with any team, we come away with a close 1-0 victory over the Swindon Fletchlings. Kyurem Black put in the finest of work, getting 2 kills on the Slowking and the Tangrowth. So the freeze from the Ice Beam was unfortunate. Jordan picking up 2 kills, Mega Gardevoir got a kill, and Cobalion gets a kill from the Stealth Rock damage. So with that win, we are now 8-4 on the season, guaranteeing us a winning record in my first official recorded draft league format. The acquisition of Kyurem Black from last week paid huge dividends. I could not be happier with how my team performed. It sucks I had to sack off Manaphy so early to gauge what Clefable was. I played Scolipede very poorly. I could have let my Cobalion take the sleep powder, but I decided not to. So, and Scolipede could have actually taken out the the Terrakion and the Tangrowth by itself. I didn't let it get put to sleep, so that was another misplay on my part. But nevertheless, we did pull away with a victory. We have broken the curse of alternating wins and losses, as I have now won back-to-back games for the first time since the first 3 weeks of the season. It was a crazy battle, to say the least, and I am happy with the result that we got in this match. But now we really have to, we really gotta steel ourselves for these last 3 weeks of the season, as we are going up against teams that are currently in playoff position or fighting to get in to the playoffs. So the last 3 weeks are going to be very hectic, to say the least. My week 13 opponent will be the Detroit Darkrai, who are currently 7-4. They haven't played their week 11 match yet at the time of this recording, but if knowing them, they most likely might win, which is going to be very crazy considering that they're going to be in 5th place and they're 8-4. So it just goes to show you the level of competition we have in this league. So nevertheless, we have the win. We have won back-to-back games. I am happy, and I hope you guys enjoyed the battle. If you did, feel free to hit that like button. If you enjoyed the content, please hit that subscribe button down below. There's going to be plenty more action where this came from my matches in the NES, the IBL, APA, and in the UBA. So keep your eyes peeled for those matches, and they will be coming to you in the next couple of days. But until the next time, my name is Anthony, aka Tone114, and I'm gonna catch you guys on the flip side. Later.